another episode of Crushing the EPPP. I have the amazing Dr. Alexis here with us today, who recently passed the EPPP and is here to share her experience. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Alexis. I got my PhD in clinical psychology at the University of Mississippi, hotty toddy, and I graduated in 2021 and was on my fellowship when I was asked to, okay, let's get this thing started. Let's take EPPP and get this licensing, um, process going, because I now live in New Orleans, Louisiana, and tends to be a little bit slower pace of things here. So wanted to start early. And yeah, so that's how I got here. I work at a hospital system in pediatric psychology, and I work with kids with chronic health issues.
Wonderful. So you're doing really good work with a sweet and vulnerable population that really needs a lot of help. So being licensed, of course, will only help you personally, but also the field and the kind of work that you're doing.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what was your experience like with preparing for the EPPP and just your general experience with it prior to seeking coaching with me?
Yeah. So like I said, I kind of started early, knowing that I was going to take it. So I set my test date July. So I started preparing about late March, April, because I already had this preconceived notion that I am a bad test taker and I'm going to need a lot of extra time to go over and study everything. So I gave myself those few months and I used PrepJet online because I heard really good things about it. And I think I did learn a lot from it. I liked how they organized everything. I liked the quizzes. I liked the practice tests. And then I took my first attempt in the beginning of July and didn't pass. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure something else out. Like whatever I was doing maybe didn't work. So I kind of gathered materials from that had been passed down, including like audio from I forget which one, but I used audio. I reviewed stuff on PrepJet and had like paper copies of outlines and past practice tests. And I just kind of studied all over the place. Didn't have a clear like schedule, and I just focused on the areas on that test printout after I didn't pass that were low. And I retook it again in the end of September and I didn't pass again. So then I was really thinking, okay, I am doing something that is not beneficial here and I need to take a different route. And so I turned to support groups on Facebook, and I even talked to my supervisor here who also gave me some recommendations, and all of those led to Dr. Erica. And, as a woman of color, I thought that was really important too, because I noticed I was getting stuck in my head about that this is probably why, or this is the reason why. It's because I'm a woman of color and it's biased against me, and this is why I didn't pass. So all those things were facilitating this anxiety and blocking me really to obtain this. So that's where I was like, okay, I think I need Erica's help in being able to organize and challenge these thoughts.
Absolutely. I mean, the statistics are real. There is a huge disparity, and it really can get in people's head and make you feel inadequate and make you feel like this is impossible. And so we do need support to help us work through that. I know I certainly had a lot of fear about that myself as a person of color when I was going through this process. And so thankfully your supervisor came to the rescue and hooked you up with me. And you started to use my coaching program. You did not only work with me for a handful of sessions, but you also did my audio program, of course, that all of my coaching clients do, the master plan. And so what did you find helpful? Like, what are the top couple of things that you feel like were most helpful about my coaching approach?
Well, the audio helped in just having a structure. Like you had assigned me different blocks to read, sessions, and like sticking to that and having some direction. I was like, okay, I can do this. And I have like assignments again. So it's like being back in class. Um, Being able to reflect to like listen to the audio, reflect on that, fill out the worksheets that you have provided. And I think out of all of that though, really making a schedule and sticking to it and then doing that snowball method that you have, I think ultimately that was the most helpful thing to have, because I wasn't doing that. I was kind of just like scattered and using all these different materials and like, okay, well, I'll try this and I'll try this and this didn't work, so I'm going to do this time. And that was just like a mess. And so having some structure and then sticking to one program, which I used AATBS, I think any of them are probably fine. You just need to pick one
Right.
and be able to then make that schedule of things and stick to it. Put it in your calendar, put reminders in there, and then utilize your snowball method of reviewing, which is critical.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people ask, like, well, how come you don't tutor people? And what I find is a lot of times what's lacking for people is the lack of structure in their whole process. And once they have that, then they're able to learn the concepts and solidify them. So in the audio program, that's what you're getting. You're getting a full strategy laid out for you and showing you how to do this thing step by step so that you have some sort of structure and plan. So you don't feel like you're just kind of floating through this process.
Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
found the Snowball Study Method as well as all the other strategies in there to really kind of get you straight.
Yeah. And also just figuring out kind of rituals or things I need to do before I went to go study. So doing a 5-minute breathing exercise before is what always has helped me, maybe different for someone else. But that is something that I made sure I did to just kind of refocus and get into this study mindset.
Absolutely. So it's also about the mindset. It's about a lot of different factors that all come together. So I'm so happy that you listened to the audio program and were able to use everything in there to just sort of set yourself up for success. And clearly it worked, which is great. So what would you say to someone who's in the same position you were in? Maybe they've never attempted, or maybe they've attempted a couple times, it hasn't worked out. Maybe they're feeling a bit disillusioned and just not sure what to do, and they're like, well, should I check out this coaching thing with this lady? I don't know, is this going to work? What would you say to them?
I would say, evaluate what you have done already. We as psychologists know, like make a decisional balance and see like how would this help me? What benefits? And then how might it not help me? And, in doing that, you're probably going to see that having that direction and support and guidance throughout this really tedious process to get licensed,
Yeah.
it really does help a lot, because you're not alone. Like everyone does not like this test. It is such a cumbersome process to go through. So we're there with you, and we understand that, it's family time and work and trying to like maintain a social life, because we know that that's important.
Yeah,
um
maintaining your sanity.
having that guidance um is so critical and important.
Absolutely, thank you for sharing that, because everything is like so overwhelming. People, a lot of times, they feel stuck, they don't know where to go, they've heard so many different things, they've tried so many different things, they've already spent a lot of money, so they're like, why would this help me, when other things haven't helped? So thank you for sharing that. And so now that you're done with this whole thing, you are on the other side. Oh, what's
Yes.
next for you, both professionally and maybe even personally? Like, what are some things you're just excited for now that you've gotten back 20 something hours of your week, and you're
Seriously.
free?
Yes, it's like April. So it's amazing. feels kind of weird, but I will take this. But I was offered a position full-time here at my hospital, so I am staying on. I will be the solid organ transplant pediatric psychologist, so helping out those kids that are going through transplant, which I absolutely love. So I did that through my fellowship, and I'm so happy that I get to stay on since I passed and I can move on for licensure. And I just look forward to hanging out with friends and not having this in the back of my mind. And New Orleans, it's Mardi Gras season now, and so I can celebrate and like come together with the community and go to parades and not have to remind myself, oh, well, I can't because I need to study. I can just fully be present and enjoy those moments and do other things like read a book. This weekend I did that, just sat on the deck and read a book, and I was like, when have I done this just for the leisure? It's always reading EPPP material. So
Absolutely.
just those little things that we've taken for granted in the past that are really fun. You just haven't been able to do them really.
Absolutely. Would you like to share the book you were reading? Maybe somebody might want a good book recommendation.
Yes, I am reading For Brown Girls with Sharp Edges.
Oh.
And yeah, I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I just told myself this is like part of my reward is once I finished all of this, like I could pick that up and be fully present and take everything in, because I think it's important. I like reading literature that is geared towards women of color, specifically Latinas, and is by a Latina writer. So yeah, I love it.
That's so lovely. I love to hear when people are just like getting back to their life, being able to do other things that matter to them, and just feeling free, like that mental sort of like, how do I say it? It's like a clearing. I think, a few days after I passed the test and it finally sunk in, because it took a few days,
Yeah.
literally felt, and it sounds weird, but it felt like something cleared above my head. Like it felt literally like something moved physically, like in my atmosphere. It was so bizarre, but like I physically felt something release. It was
Yeah, no. Yes, it's kind of hard to put into words, but you're exactly right. It's
you can relate to it now.
Like, lifts. Yeah.
Yes.
And once I like got in my car afterwards and like took some deep breaths, and then I just cried because I was like, oh my God, this is done. Oh my gosh. And that just felt so much better too.
Yes, just release all of that. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. Again, I'm Dr. Erica Liggins, EPPP coach, and congratulations again. And I wish you nothing but all the best in everything that you do, and just nothing but success.
Thank you so much. I'm just so thankful for you, and just appreciative too of all your help, getting me through this and holding my hand when I virtually when I needed that.
You're so welcome. Take care and best of luck in everything. Bye-bye.